Welcome to our enchanting tale of the silent town, where echoes of the past whisper through the vibrant murals of a forgotten village. Join our protagonist as they uncover the haunting mysteries that lie behind closed doors, confronting shadows that threaten to keep the villagers' stories buried forever. Set against a backdrop of ethereal artistry and a rich tapestry of history, this adventure invites you to immerse yourself in the delicate dance between joy and sorrow, light and darkness. As you listen, you might find yourself captivated by the journey to reclaim lost voices and unveil hidden truths, a saga woven with rich imagery and emotional depth that can accompany you through your daily activities, be it during a quiet moment or a mundane task. So sit back, relax, and let the story unfold. As I crossed the threshold into the village, the weight of the silence wrapped around me like a heavy fog. With each cautious step, the crunch of gravel beneath my boots resonated through the eerie stillness. I paused for a moment, allowing my senses to absorb the scene before me. The village had the remnants of life, but it was as if time had stilled the very essence of its existence. The houses stood in various states of disrepair, their once vibrant colors now muted and peeling. Windows gaped like empty eyes, and the doors hung ajar, swaying gently in the wind. I could not help but feel the lingering presence of the villagers, as if their spirits remained tethered to this place, trapped in the silence that enveloped me. A shiver traveled down my spine. I could almost hear the echoes of laughter that once filled the air, now replaced by an unsettling quiet. As I wandered deeper into the village, I began to notice the murals that adorned the crumbling walls. They were painted in vibrant hues that challenged the somber grayness of the surroundings. Each mural told a different story, capturing scenes of everyday life: the farmers tending to their fields, children playing in the streets, and families gathered around fires, their faces illuminated with warmth and joy. Yet, woven into these colorful depictions was an undercurrent of sorrow, a hint of something darker looming beneath the surface. The most striking mural I encountered was located on the side of a once cheerful bakery. It depicted a festival, alive with energy, where villagers danced in celebration beneath a canopy of stars. But as I peered closer, I noticed the faces of the revelers. While many appeared joyful, a few were tinged with concern, their eyes shadowed with an unspoken fear. This contradiction captured my imagination and filled me with a sense of both wonder and dread. Was this an omen, a warning painted long before the silence fell? I reached out, brushing my fingertips over the textures of the mural. The paint felt alive, pulsating with the emotions it had captured. Here in this quiet town, these artworks were more than mere decorations. They were a history etched in color, a testament to the lives that once thrived in this space. And with that thought, I felt the stirring of a question in my mind. Why had they disappeared? As I continued to explore, I noticed what appeared to be a small crowd painted on the side of the town hall, their faces frozen in expressions of fear and despair. They were gathered in front of a shadowy figure, darker than the deepest night, its form obscured but undeniably menacing. My heart quickened as I wondered what shadows had haunted this place, what secrets lay buried beneath the vibrant colors. In a moment of inexplicable intuition, I turned around, almost expecting to see a face behind me, the spirit of a villager watching over their story, urging me to understand. But nothing met my gaze, only the dull echo of emptiness. I could not shake the feeling that somehow I was intruding on a sacred space, privy to revelations I was not yet prepared to understand. Feeling an undeniable pull, I made my way toward what I assumed was the center of the village. I needed to see more. I needed to understand. And with every step, the heaviness of history bore down on me, suffused with an urgency that made the hairs on my arms stand on end. It was as if the village itself was alive, breathing through the murals, crying out for someone to listen, someone to seek the truth hidden within the chaos of their lost joy. It was then, in the heart of stillness, that I truly realized the weight of the mystery surrounding me, a mystery I felt destined to unravel. The silence may have been deafening, but the town was speaking, and I was determined to listen. The stillness in the village was oppressive, each step I took echoing in the vast emptiness. Intrigued by the murals that surrounded me, I felt compelled to explore their depths, letting the artistry guide me through the heart of this forsaken place. With each gaze, the colors seemed to shift slightly, revealing hidden layers beneath the surface, emotion and story entwined in ways that beckoned for my attention. As I wandered to the edge of the village, I stumbled across a mural sprawled across the weather-beaten side of an old chapel. It depicted a once glorious festival, a jubilant gathering of villagers adorned with garlands of wildflowers, smiles illuminating their faces. The scene was alive, bursting with activity. Children chased each other in playful abandon, while musicians strummed lilting melodies, filling the air with an intoxicating harmony. I studied their faces, the individuals frozen in time, each an embodiment of joy and hope. Yet the longer I stared, the more I sensed an underlying current, a shadow creeping at the edges of this bright tableau. As I traced my fingers along the vibrant paint, whispers flitted through my mind, indistinct yet insistent. It was as if the mural held memories, trapped within the fibers of the brushstrokes. I could almost hear the laughter and music, mingling in a haunting echo that sent chills down my spine. What had happened to this festival of joy? What darkness had shattered such warmth? My curiosity piqued. I pressed onward, exploring the village with newfound urgency. The murals spoke in a language all their own, telling tales that spanned a spectrum of emotions. I found more walls depicting scenes filled with sorrow and turmoil, the jubilant faces gradually morphing into expressions of fear and confusion. One mural showed the villagers in different stages of celebration, but with each subsequent panel, the colors grew darker, and the joy began to twist into anxiety. I realized I was witnessing the slow encroachment of something sinister, something that deepened with each passing moment of revelry. Stumbling into the town square, I discovered the centerpiece of the village, a towering mural that dominated the space. Here, a great shadow loomed over the townsfolk, large and formidable. They were small against its vastness, arms outstretched as if pleading, as if trying to ward off an unseen force. The joy that had once permeated their lives had transformed into palpable dread. My heart raced as I deciphered their story, the vibrant colors now tinged with the horror of what lay ahead. It became painfully clear that the festival, a moment meant to unite and bring joy, had unraveled into a nightmare that engulfed the village. I felt a knot tighten in my chest, the revelation stirring a mixture of empathy and fear within me. These were not just paintings, they were a reflection of anguish, the echoes of lives dramatically altered. The village had once celebrated something beautiful, but that beauty had been marred by an incomprehensible tragedy, a darkness that had stolen away their voices and their lives. Visions flooded my mind, pulling me deeper into the story. The villagers had invited a traveling performer to their festival, a figure cloaked in mystery and magic. They had expected wonder and delight, yet the folklore whispered of an ancient curse born by a long-forgotten pact, a weave of shadows that threatened to intertwine with their joy. As laughter turned to screams, the villagers had realized that they had invoked something that was never meant to be awakened. Doubt crept in like an unwelcome guest. Was I truly ready to piece together this puzzle? Each mural I saw felt like a piece of a fragmented whole, a haunting reminder of futures ripped apart. Would uncovering their truth further entrap me in their silence? My heart grappled with the need to know, to honor their story. I could not turn away. As twilight began to seep into the village, the fading light cast long shadows that danced across the murals. An air of expectation surrounded me, whispering of unfinished tales and unresolved fates. This village was a canvas, and I, the uninvited guest, stood amid the swirling colors, determined to unravel the threads of a darkness that sought to cloak their laughter forever. With the last rays of sun retreating beyond the horizon, I made a silent promise to the souls that lingered within these walls. I would delve deeper into their memories, uncover the truth hidden in the shadows, and perhaps in doing so, bring light back to the silent town. The search for answers had only just begun, and I would let the whispers of the past lead me through the chilling embrace of the unknown. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an ethereal glow over the silent town, the atmosphere shifted. What had once felt like the stillness of abandonment morphed into something more potent, a quiet, thrumming energy that pulsed through the air, echoing the legacies left behind. I found myself wandering down narrow paths where shadows danced upon crumbling stone, the fading light revealing fragments of lives that once flourished here. My first encounter came unexpectedly as I ventured past the old schoolhouse, its door swinging gently in the breeze. The floorboards creaked like the whispers of long-lost voices, and in the corner of the playground I spotted a child's toy, a small wooden horse, painted in vibrant colors that were now chipped and dulled. I picked it up carefully, as if it were an artifact of sacred worth, and imagined the small hands that once cherished it, their laughter ringing in the air as they played without a care in the world. The innocent joy imbued within the toy contrasted dramatically with the somber stillness that surrounded me. Further along the path, I stumbled across a broken wheelbarrow, half buried beneath a tangle of weeds. It resting there served as a poignant reminder of the hard work put into cultivating the life of this village. The wheels were caked with a thick layer of dirt, and the remnants of tools lay scattered around. I could envision a farmer loading it up with produce, the scent of fresh earth mingling with sunlight, a snapshot of existence turned to dust. Each piece of debris began to pull at my heartstrings, evoking a deep sense of loss that settled like a heavy cloak around my shoulders. Then I approached a series of murals painted along the side of what might have been the village inn. They captured moments of familial affection, parents embracing their children, a couple dancing under a canopy of stars, and friends sharing tales over a hearty meal. In their lifelike detail, the murals breathed with joy, immortalizing the bonds that had once thrived here. Yet as I gazed into their painted eyes, I could not shake the feeling that they were pleading for attention, a silent call for remembrance amid this crushing silence. As darkness unfurled over the village, the beauty of the murals took on an eerie glow under the moonlight, illuminating the rich colors while casting long shadows that crept ominously along the ground. The enchanting atmosphere felt tinged with something more sinister. I could almost hear the very walls sigh with nostalgia, urging me to listen closely. With every step, the sense of sorrow deepened, intertwining with the remnants of life that lingered all around me. And then I heard it. A soft whisper carried on the night wind. It was as gentle as a breath, yet resonated with the weight of centuries. I halted, my breath hitching in my chest, straining to catch the words. They came like fragmented echoes, barely audible yet full of longing. Help us. Remember us. Drawing closer to the source of the sound, I found myself beneath the branches of an ancient oak that stood proudly in the village square. Its gnarled roots seemed to cradle the earth, as if protecting the memories buried deep beneath. There, I noticed a mural at its base, one I had somehow overlooked before. This one depicted the tree in its youth, alive with verdant leaves and a bustling community below. But as I traced the growth rings etched into its bark, I saw the shadows encroaching, the edges painted darker over time, telling of the encroachment of despair. With every breath, it felt as if the souls of the villagers were drawing nearer, their stories yearning to be heard. The whispers wove together, forming a fragile tapestry of lives intertwined. I closed my eyes, allowing their tales to wash over me. The joy of simple moments, the pain of sacrifices, and the events that shattered their peace. They echoed like tales told around a fire, memories interlaced with the bitterness of loss. A sudden gust of wind swirled around me, stirring fallen leaves and sending shivers down my spine. It felt as if the villagers were urging me forward, beckoning me to take their stories and carry them on. I resolved then that I would not let their voices fade into obscurity. I would uncover the truth of their past, the shadows that haunted them. Still enveloped by night, I pressed on, determined to piece together the fragments of what had been, a history obscured by silence, a legacy yearning for remembrance. The town had opened itself to me, revealing its layers of sorrow interwoven with beauty. As I walked, the whispers grew louder, urging me deeper into the night, where the heart of this mystery awaited my arrival. I would honor their memory by illuminating the darkness that held them captive, one revelation at a time. The silence enveloped me like a tightening grip, and despite the beauty of the night, I sensed a heaviness that weighed down upon my spirit. Determined, I made my way back to the heart of the village, its town square, now a grim spectacle where murals rendered a harsh truth. With each step closer, a chill coursed through my veins, anticipation mingling with dread. I could feel the stories of the villagers pulling me in, their lost hopes and buried fears beckoning for acknowledgement. As I stepped into the square, the first thing that caught my eye was the immense mural that dominated the far wall, consuming my thoughts. Here, the colors morphed from vibrant joy to deep, unsettling shades of gray and black, capturing a scene that radiated chaos and despair. It illustrated a festival gone awry, the very moment that had changed everything. Figures scurried about, some frozen in panic with wide eyes, while others reached out in desperation, grappling with the encroaching darkness that towered over them. The dark force loomed large, a silhouette of malevolence that swallowed the light around it, casting shadows over the villagers. In a terrifying twist, I saw glimpses of the traveling performer, the figure who had once been the beacon of hope, stripped of its allure, revealing a grotesque visage twisted in mockery. The realization struck me like a bolt of lightning. This was not merely the end of a festival, but the birth of a nightmare that had irrevocably altered the village's fate. I stepped closer, drawn to the details within the swirling chaos. The expressions on the villagers' faces were haunting. The joy of the festival had turned to horror in an instant. I could almost hear the frantic heartbeat of their panic, feel the sweat on their brows, and taste the fear that hung thick in the air. The vibrancy that filled the earlier murals faded here, replaced by a palpable loss that echoed in the silence. The artist had poured the anguish of a fractured community into every brushstroke, preserving the tale of their downfall for eternity. Through the whirl of colors, I began to piece together fragments of their stories. Whispers of a sacrifice made in desperation, an ancient pact unknowingly invoked, binding the villagers' souls to this realm. The beauty they had cherished, the happiness they believed in, had become a shackle, chaining them to the very shadows they had tried to escape. A haunting reality dawned on me. They had offered themselves to quell the dark force they had inadvertently summoned. My heart raced as I confronted the enormity of this revelation. I felt the weight of their unfulfilled lives pressing down, urging me to carry their burden. There was a sense of justice that needed to be restored, a way to honor their sacrifice and break the chains that bound them. But how could I, a mere traveler in this cursed village, hope to bring forth such change? As despair clawed at the edges of my heart, I sensed a flicker of hope beneath the sorrow. Standing in the heart of the square, I felt an overwhelming surge of purpose. The murals were more than mere records of the past. They were a message, a blueprint for what could be done. The colors that depicted their joy and pain could also convey a plea. If I could harness the spirit of their art, channel the voices trapped within, perhaps I could bring forth the justice they so desperately needed. With renewed determination, I surveyed the murals around me, absorbing their intricacies, their stories, and their pain, ready to transform that energy into a force of healing. The town had captured the dichotomy of existence, the light and the dark, and it was my responsibility to bridge that divide. Grasping the wooden horse from the playground and holding it close, I made a promise to the lost souls. I would restore their voices to the world, weave their truths into a narrative of hope. As moonlight poured over the square, illuminating the chaos that once was, I realized the path before me was not shrouded in darkness but filled with potential. I would ensure their sacrifice was not in vain. I would give them the resolution they deserved. The Heart of Silence was not merely a grave, but a place where transformation could begin, a canvas awaiting my brushstrokes filled with their stories. As the whispers of the past entwined with my resolve, I understood that to break the silence, I needed to confront the darkness head-on. The shadows had held sway for too long. It was time to reclaim the joy that had once flowed in this village. The journey would be fraught with challenges, yet I was ready to dive into the depths of this mystery, unearthing the truth that lay buried beneath the weight of sorrow, prepared to light the way toward healing and redemption. With the town square as my canvas, I stood there surrounded by the lingering echoes of the villagers, each story a thread woven into the fabric of my being. The revelations I had uncovered, the sacrifices made, the darkness embraced, and the futures altered, now swirled within me like a storm. I was ready to act, to take the emotions that had saturated these murals and transform them into a powerful expression of healing and hope. I gathered my materials, a collection of vibrant pigments I had found within abandoned homes, the remnants of a once thriving community's artistry. As I set to work, I felt an undeniable connection to the pulse of the village. Every stroke of my brush resonated with the pain and joy of the lives that had been lost. I painted not just to recreate their stories, but to invite them back, to remind them of their once vibrant existence, and to share my own promise of redemption. With each color I laid down, I envisioned the joyful festival that had once filled the air with laughter, the families that had nurtured one another, and the children whose dreams had been left scattered like leaves in the wind. I drew upon their shared moments of happiness, the intimacy of their love, their courage amid adversity, the essence of what it meant to be alive in that village. As vivid reds and yellows burst onto the canvas, the shadows of despair began to retreat, creating space for a new narrative to emerge. The process was at once cathartic and harrowing. I poured my heart into the work, each brushstroke an invocation, a plea to the spirits bound to this realm. I wanted them to know they were seen, that their stories mattered. As I painted, I felt their presence growing stronger around me, a warmth enveloping my spirit like a comforting embrace. Each whisper coalesced into a vibrant symphony echoing through the square, urging me onward. The final strokes were met with a primal intensity. I created an image where the villagers, hand in hand, stood at the center of the mural, radiating warmth and resilience. They would no longer be defined by the darkness that had consumed their joy. Instead, they would emerge from the remnants of despair, reborn into light and color, ready to reclaim their legacy from the shadows. As I stepped back to survey my creation, a low rumble echoed through the square. The colors pulsated and shimmered, as if the mural was alive, responding to the emotions it had been infused with. Suddenly, a whirlwind of hues erupted around me. Brilliant shades of blue and gold spiraled upwards, swirling like a tempest. It felt as if the very essence of the villagers was rising from the depths of the past, enveloping me in their energy. I closed my eyes, overwhelmed by the power of the moment. The realization washed over me that the souls bound by silence were awakening. I could feel them, a collective movement surrounding me, merging with the vibrant tapestry I had painted. Their energy coursed through me, tangible and electric, filling me with a rush of determination. Together, we would face the shadows that had held their stories captive for too long. Opening my eyes, I looked at the mural again, now a beacon of life and hope. The figures seemed to vibrate with an inner light, their expressions shifting from despair to elation. They were free, and as if united by a shared purpose, I felt their support as I took a step toward the darkness looming at the edges of the square. We stood together, I, the unwitting ally who had listened to their stories, and they, the spirits yearning for release. It was then that I confronted the darkness that had haunted this town, a swirling mass of shadows, a remnant of the past still clinging to life, fueled by the anguish of the villagers' sacrifice. But now, as I held my ground, I could hear their whispers entwined with my own courage. The shadows faltered, the malevolence wavering against the tide of our united strength. With each heartbeat, I felt a surge of clarity. These were not just their memories, but mine as well. I painted not only to honor their sacrifices, but to forge a new narrative, one where fear could no longer take root. I raised my hands, drawing on the mural's vibrant energy, channeling the emotions shared between us. The shadows shrank back, collapsing under the weight of our collective determination. As the last vestiges of darkness dissolved into the night, a sweet silence enveloped the town. Not one of sorrow, but of peace, a final resting place for the anguish that had lingered for far too long. The air vibrated with a newfound vibrancy, an affirmation of life. This was not just the end of silence, but a beginning, a rebirth of hope. I turned back to the mural, now pulsating with a life of its own, reflecting the joy and resilience of those I had come to know. I could feel the villagers' gratitude envelop me, their spirits lifting, weaving seamlessly through the vivid colors as they began to integrate back into the fabric of existence. Each life rekindled, every story reborn would resonate in the hearts of those who honored the tales of the past. In that moment, I knew I had fulfilled my promise. I had broken the silence once and for all. Together with the villagers, I had chased away the shadows, illuminating their path to freedom. As the dawn broke over the silent town, the colors danced in the light, a vibrant reminder that joy, no matter how deeply buried, could always rise again.